Hello everyone, this is Devmitra from Pension Computer Solutions Global Private Limited. Hope you guys are doing well, right? So guys, in my previous session, I have talked about the technology that is the market booming technology called Salesforce. So I have tried to provide you the first question answers for Salesforce beginners. So right now in my today's session, I'm going to talk about the question answers that can be asked in an interview for the Salesforce developers. Okay. So guys, let's get started. So the first question can be, what are governor limits? Please provide some examples. Governor limits are resource utilization limits enforced on Apex by Salesforce to prevent run and away processes from monopolizing resources. This is vital as Salesforce is a multi-tenanted environment, so run resources are shared. Example for this are the number of SOQL queries, DML statements, and the number of HTTP callout requests in a transaction. So the next question, what programming language can we use to customize a Salesforce instance? The server-side language used to customize Salesforce is called Apex, which has a syntax similar to Java. On the front end, we have several technologies, the main one being Lightning Web Components, followed by the older and now more Aura components and the Visual Force, all of which use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in conjunction with Apex. We can use Flow, which is a low-code language to customize both the front end and the back end. So the next question can be, what declarative tools can we use to customize the Salesforce intents? The most basic declarative tool is custom fields and custom objects, which can be defined declaratively and allow us to customize our interface database schema. We can further customize objects through the use of page layouts and Lightning apps pages to declaratively customize the look and the feel of a records page. If we wish to create declarative automations, we can be using Flow, which process builder and workflow rules exist. So these are being depicted by Salesforce, and also declarative automations should be created via Flow instead. So the next one is, when would we choose the programmatic development over declarative? Declarative tools excel when rapid development is required, as due to their nature, they allow rapid interaction and usually have shorter build times. So in scenarios where the business logic required is relatively straightforward and with very few gotchas, it usually makes sense to take advantage of declarative tools with faster build time, which can translate to a cheaper build. Okay, so we would choose programming development when the requirements become more complex, such as in very specialized business process which don't lend themselves to flows, etc. Other scenarios are where performance or user's interface is of paramount importance. One of the main advantages of running a coded solution is that performance will exceed that of a declarative solution due to the ability to use more specialized logic and removing overheads. So this also applies to user interfaces, as using a coded solution allows us to fully customize it to our requirements. Whereas using declarative tools means we are stuck with what comes out of the box, which may not provide the desired outcome. So what is the Salesforce release model? So Salesforce has major updated 3 times seasonally in spring, summer, and winter. The specific dates of this vary. However, around 4 to 6 weeks before a release, sandbox intentions and updated to allow a testing of any customization in an org. Okay. So what Salesforce supported development tools are there? The main Salesforce supported development tools is the Salesforce extensions for VS Code, which utilizes the Salesforce command line interface. So what are the types of object relationship? The first one is lookup relationship. The second one is master detail. The third one is self. So what is called lookup relationship? Two records related to each other through one object, the child having a lookup field which is pointing to the other field, that is the parent field. The master detail, similar to lookup relationships, however, in this case, the child record is considered the detail and the parent the master. These types of relationship changes some behaviors of the detail records, such as having sharing controlled by the master and allows special roll-up summary fields to be created on the master. So what is called self? A lookup relationship which points to some object types, allowing a hierarchy or changing of records the same type. However, a record cannot be related to itself. So what is called SOQL? SOQL stands for Salesforce Object Query Language. So, and as the name suggests, it is the main language uses for programming queries against the database, which is, it has a similar syntax to SQL. Okay. There are a few key differences, mainly that SOQL is exclusively used for, that is, queries. It is used for retrieve data from a single object and potentially those directly related to it. SOQL can be used both within Apex code to query records for consumption by Sage code to or via the API and tools which use it, such as in-data loading tools. So, what is Apex programming? What is required for deploying Apex code to a production instance? So when deploying Apex code to the production, there are three things which is required. That is, all classes and triggers must successfully compile. Tests must cover at least 75% of the Apex code and there must not be any failures. All triggers must have at least 1% coverage. So what is the difference between the queuable Apex and batch Apex and the scheduled Apex? So what is called queuable Apex? This is an async process which can be launched to run processing callouts, etc. This is useful when trying to do process in triggers which are long running or simplified unavailable, okay, callouts. So what is called batch Apex? And batch Apex process which can design to handle large number of records up to 50 million by processing them smaller batches to 1 to 2000 records at a time. So what is called scheduled Apex? A process that is scheduled to run at a specific time and date. This can be customized to be repeatable either by scheduling it through the UI or via cron string within other Apex code. So what are the different events for an Apex trigger? Triggers are split into two main types, the before and after. So what is called before trigger? Before trigger run before a record has been saved in the database. Optimally used same record calculations and the validations. Whereas after triggers run after the record has been saved and should ideally be used for working on records other than the invoking the trigger. Okay. So triggers are the further broken down into the type of operations which invokes it. These are the insert, update, delete, and undelete. This allows the triggers to be customized to only be invoked when explicitly required. Okay. So what is a global Apex class? A global Apex class is an Apex class which has been declared with the global access modifier. This means that the class is visible and usable by an Apex code running the namespace. Global Apex class should rarely be used and only implemented when explicitly necessary. So while within managed packages or for Apex test web services. So what is an interface and why should we use one? An interface is similar to a class. Expect no one of the methods have an implementation. This is useful to abstracting method declaration from the specific implementation. A common example of this can be found with batch classes, which implement the standard Salesforce interface of database batchable. Okay, so using interfaces signifies that a class will explicitly implement the method defined in it, potentially allowing us to implement different behavior at run in time based on context. So how can we allow Apex to be called by Lightning components? To call Apex code from a Lightning component, it first must be annotated with the Aura enabled. This exposes the code to be called from within the component's JavaScript. We can adjust the annotation a little further to indicate that the method supports catching by using the auto-enabled and catchable true annotation instead. Okay, so how can we debug our Apex code? When Apex code runs, we can generate debug logs from the executed code. These logs provides an insight into what happened during execution. So any exceptions that were thrown, and also provide the details of anything passed into a system debug method call. If we increase the logging level sufficiency, we can also use the Apex reply debugger, which also allows us to use VS Code to step through the code execution and examine it in more detail and set checkup points and breakouts for a more in-depth debugging experience. So integrations. So what is called integrations, and how can we integrate into external REST to web services? For integrating with external REST web services, we would test to use HTTP callouts to invoke the external API. We can use the JSON and XML stream writer classes to build payloads to match the specifics of the external API. So how can an external system integrate into Salesforce? External systems can utilize the built-in REST API provided by Salesforce for simple integration. This could be for creating, updating, and querying records for more and bespoke. Okay, so inbound integration. So how can we secure the credentials used for outbound integrations? Depending on the type of credentials, we have few options. The most preferred is named credentials, which specify the base endpoint and the authentication credentials. These are preferred since Salesforce then handles the authentication for us and keep the credentials away from prying eyes. So alternatively, if named credentials are not suitable, we can choose to store the credentials in a custom metadata type, which will also different credentials to be used across different environments, and we can secure the permissions to access the metadata type. We should never be hard coding the credentials for integration within our code, as this is very insecure. So what is called Lightning components? What is the difference between Lightning Web Component and Aura Components? Lightning Web Components is built using current web standards to build custom HTML elements through the use of web components designed to run in lightweight and performant manner. Auto components are the legacy of Light Components framework, but it still utilizes JavaScript and HTML for development. So why would we use Lightning Web Components over Aura Components and vice versa? Ideally, we should always be using Lightning Web Components for any new developments due to their easier development and better performance. We should avoid using Aura Components unless we wish to use a piece of functionality which is not yet supported in LWCs. In this case, we should wrap on LWC inside of an Aura component. So how can Lightning Web Component be made the configurable and by an admin? So we can handle, or we can define our configurable properties in a components, that is JS meta XML file. This is done by defining a property tag within the target configuration tag for our specific target, and can further be extended to only apply to specific objects or to limit the objects which the component can be placed on. So Where can we use components? Lightning components can be deployed in a large number of places across an org. This can be admin decided once or added by developers. This include the utility bar, Outlook and Gmail integrations, Visual Force pages, external web pages, pre-chat snap-ins, and quick actions. So what is SLDS? The Salesforce Lightning Designing System. SLDS is the user interface design framework used by Salesforce for designing, styling, and building all aspects of Salesforce Lightning. As developers, we can utilize to SLDS provides CSS styles or component markup templates to build custom components which provides a consistent UI with the rest of the platform. SLDS also provides guidelines around accessibility and language guidance and icons. So, what is called secure development? How can we enforce field level security, that is called FLS, within our Apex code? There are a few approaches depending on the context of where we wish to enforce field level security. If you are performing query and do not require graceful handling or missing permissions, we can add with security underscore enforced clause to the query. This will cause to an insufficient permission exceptions to be thrown, and if any permissions to the requested fields are missing. If we need more granularity or wish to simplify remove fields our user does not have sufficient permissions for, we can use the security and the spinner accessible and method, and the name suggests this method checks for and removes any field values for the specific context requests. So removing fields which the user does not have permissions to update. Okay, so how can we enforce sharing rules with our Apex code? We can define our class with sharing keywords in the definition. Alternatively, we can use the inherited sharing keywords, which inherits the sharing modifier from its calling class for when we need code that should handle this dynamically. Okay, so when should we bypass sharing and FLS within our code? We should only bypass this when we are running system level processes. If we do need to bypass them for user operations, we should be ensuring that it is no chance data or actions which are unintended can be performed. This could be by migrating the specific actions which require bypassing to separate classes and performing the rest of our logic with sharing and FLS enforced. We should only ever be bypassing it for specific actions, not an entire set of business logic. So how can we secure dynamic SOQL? When we are performing dynamic SOQL, which takes an input from a user, we must sanitize the user input. We do this by making sure all single quotes are escaped before performing the query. Alternatively, wherever possible, we want to use bind variables even with our dynamic SOQL. So what is called configurable development? What is a roll-up summary field? Roll-up summary fields are special fields which lie on the master side of the master detail relationship. These fields have their values calculated based on an aggregate of the detail side of the relationship. This could be anything from the number of records to a field value summed up. It allows us to skip using Apex when we wish to aggregate record values that are part of the master detail relationship. Okay, so what are the custom metadata types and why would we use them? Custom metadata types are developers' design prices of metadata which facilitate the designing and the building of customized applications with a Salesforce instance. This is done by first designing the metadata type, which is a similar to a custom object, and then by creating records of that type of define they require behavior by being read and runtime. This could be anything from defining a field mapping table between two objects to storing secrets for an API integration. So what is dynamic apex? Dynamic apex is a technique in which we make our code more flexible by accessing objects and fields dynamically rather than declaratively with our code. This is mainly done through the use of object tokens and describes to dynamically access and set objects field values within our code. So this can be using in conjunction with dynamic SOQL to dynamically build queries based on routine context rather than the design type. So few tips for the Salesforce developer. When in an interview where your technical knowledge is being tested, simply you can answer probably won't make you stand out from the crowd. So probably keep the common answers. Okay. If you are really interested in the role you are interviewing for, a great way to make a great impression with the interviewer is the answer their questions and then go one further. Take one question and give the theoretical answer, but then expand upon to it by providing some personal context to the answer. Okay. So guys, this is for now. These are the top 30 questions that can be asked by an interviewer for the Salesforce developers. Okay, so in my today's session, I've tried to provide you the knowledge regarding the Salesforce question round, answers. And in PCS Global, we are providing the training in Java, Python, data science, MERN-stack, okay, Java DevOps. So if you wanted to start your career in Salesforce or in other technologies also, if you wanted to see yourself an IT professional, you can communicate with us. My number is going on in the description box, and all these technologies you can learn from PCS Global, because we have our several batches for our internship programs. We have our internship programs. Our summer internship program is going to start from 20th May. So you can join that batches also. We have our several program that is Journey to Corporate, and we have our EILP program, we have our CILP program. So only learning can help you to grow. And from PCS Global, what you can do, you can learn, because our industry experts will provide you the training. Our and Mr. Alok Haldar, he's the most experienced person. Since last 18 years, he has worked in TCS and he has that knowledge of technologies. He was the trainer of Java, and right now he's providing the training in Salesforce also. So if you wanted to learn technology, kindly learn from the best mentors or the industry experts, So kindly communicate with me, and you can get the best knowledge from PCS Global. You can start your career from PCS Global. You can learn from us, and you can build yourself after getting all the trainings. And when you will join PCS Global, only then you can understand from where you are right now standing and how you can be the part of an IT world, and what are the initiatives you need to take to be the part of this IT world. So you can go through the videos of career journey stories. That those are our ex-alumni. They had shared their pain point with us when they were not part of PCS Global, and after joining PCS Global, how they built themselves, what kind of effort they need to give to build their career, and how we supported them. So we are 10 years company in market. We're an ISO certified company, and since last 10 years, we are building the future of our candidates. So if you wanted to know more, at first visit our YouTube channel, go through our videos. After that, you will get to know why PCS Global is the best place to start your career. So this is for now, guys. Bye for now. Have a good day and start your career with us.